One of the most interesting things that comes up during the War Thunder April Fool's event from the community is discussions on what could they be testing with this year's April Fools. In the past, Warfare 2077 was testing spikes and active protection systems, and even last year with Mad Thunder, which mainly was based on Mad Max and extraction mechanics whenever it came to that new game mode, was actually testing out the wheeled vehicles and their damage models whenever it came to shooting off wheels. And then even after that event was done, I think it was like the next update, that actual update came to all the wheeled vehicles within the game, which was kind of interesting. This year with the War Thunder April Fools, we have the Great War, which is based on tank battles from World War I on the Western Front near Flanders, with AI infantry running across no man's land to reinforce capture points. So first, let's talk about what 100% they're testing. This is like an if no ands or buts about it. They are 100% testing AI infantry with this sort of game mode. But first, most of you have probably seen the trailer that came out the day before April Fools, which was the next big thing in War Thunder, which was a video which looked very much like that we would be testing out infantry, like playable infantry, whenever it came to War Thunder. Now, like I said in my video going over the trailer, this trailer just seems like one of those feeler trailers. And if you don't know what a feeler trailer is, it's basically where they put out some sort of media or they put out some sort of thing and they just see the general reception of it to see if it's any popular or see if people would be interested in it. And basically what this trailer feels like to me is that. Now, I guess I should actually put into here why I think that this is not coming to War Thunder, basically because it looks very scuffed on the trailer. If you go look at like the T90 firing, for example, there's no smoke, there's no muzzle blast, there's literally nothing, and the tank in front of it just dies. And the same thing with the SU-25. Once the F-16 is shooting the Sparrow at it, or it might be a Sidewinder, I can't exactly remember. Once the Sidewinder hits it, the Sidewinder just freezes in place, and I'll put it into this video so you can definitely see what I'm talking about. So the trailer itself looks very scuffed. It looks like it's on the enlisted engine, which is not the War Thunder engine. And it really just doesn't make any sense to add it into War Thunder just because you risk very much killing the game. And yes, you may not say that it's like killing the game type of thing from, like, let's just say adding infantry, but the ESRB rating, all that sort of stuff could go up, and then you'll have a rated T game that goes up to rated M. It's very, very frowned upon whenever you're actually killing human beings. And well, whenever you see that, whenever it's not just you're knocking them out, whenever you're physically shooting them with like an 88 and they just disappear, yeah, I don't really think this game is going to be rated T for T much longer. And no, I don't mean currently like right now where the enemies just disappear, the enemy infantry disappear. I mean whenever they're turning into like red mist and it looks like they just got brutalized by a tank round. Yeah, this game would go to rated M for mature for sure. And the thing about it is that even if they add infantry, let's say they added playable infantry, it would just look so scuffed whenever it came to like let's just use the word here, killing them instead of knocking them out. It's just going to look extremely scuffed within the War Thunder engine because they'll just like fall over dead and they'll look like they won't ragdoll, they won't do anything like that because like I said, that is the easiest way to get this thing rated M for mature, and that would just kill a lot of revenue for War Thunder because, well, they have people who are under the age of 18 that still play the game. I mean, the game I think is still what, 13, that you can actually make an account if you have like parental permission and everything and play. So yeah, that would knock out a good chunk of people who are like getting into the game for the first time. Just remember, whenever I started playing War Thunder, I was like, what, 14 at the time? And went through all the years and everything. So to me, at least, that's just kind of a bit crazy. So let's talk about it currently. What does the enemy infantry do, or what does the infantry do within the Great War mode? Basically what they do is once you capture a capture point, they seem to move up and they'll actually get on the capture point and hold it for you while you go to other ones. So if an enemy tank comes to it, they're not able to capture it unless they're killing all the infantry on the capture point itself, which I think is honestly a pretty interesting mechanic. I currently don't like the way that it is right now, just because to capture the point after an enemy has already captured it, you either have to get there quickly or you have to get there and shoot all the infantry. The problem is that the infantry can kind of duck down and hide and you really can't see where they're at. So you're just kind of like stumbling upon everywhere just trying to find the infantry and where to actually shoot them. But the thing that I would want to see is actually some sort of like attrition mechanic is the best way to put it. So like if there's only like 1 or 2 infantry left on the capture point, you start capturing them, but it's just slowly until you can find the enemy infantry, or even better, like a mechanic of where they get scared, like a retreat mechanic. Once they lose so many of the infantry, they just jump out of the little hidey holes that they're in and they start retreating back to their area that they control. And I think this would be honestly pretty cool because they're AI, they don't have feelings, they don't really care if you just whack them over and over with an MG, and it gives a power fantasy to actual players of that they're just pretty much doing a lot with the AI infantry and everything. They're just destroying them, they're nuking them, and it feels good. It kind of feels like a Space Marine whenever if you play Space Marine 2 right, and you just see all the little bitty infantry guys and you can just literally walk through them and they don't have anything that can actually attack you or do much damage to you. So that's what it kind of feels like whenever it comes to the AI infantry, and I really don't mind that. If people want to have like a power fantasy against AI, that's fair enough to me. I think it's a cool little system, and it would make it to where at least capture points have a little bit better of a like. I wouldn't really say it's better. Like I said, it definitely needs to be adjusted because it's not fun right now. Whenever you're trying to look for that like last little bitty infantry guy, and here comes like 3 other tanks that you need to deal with at the same time too to capture the point. That's kind of my biggest problem with it. But yeah, at the same time, I think it'd be very cool. Now, the thing is that World War One is kind of the easiest area of the game to actually kind of do this in because, well, they just move trench to trench to trench. Uh, Modern conflict and like World War II, once trench warfare really wasn't a huge thing, it would be kind of hard to do. I mean, basically what Gaijin would have to do is they'd have to make little areas of where the infantry would congregate to and they would get into. And you would have to basically nuke them. Maybe it's like pillboxes or something. Maybe there's like little bunkers that you can shoot with a tank round and you can destroy the bunker and it destroys all the infantry in it. Like I think that would be pretty cool. Like I don't really like them when they were spaced out. Like I said, it's quite annoying to try to actually engage them, trying to find like the last 1 or 2 guys on the capture point to capture it again. So, like putting them in like a bunker, or making them like go into areas where they're just consistently always there. Like once you can just kind of memorize it, I think would honestly be a pretty good thing. But that's what they're 100% testing in this April Fool's event, which is AI infantry. Seeing kind of like what they do, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, they have some MGs that you can see that's firing about. They have the guys running across the no man's land. I think it's overall a very positive addition to the game, and I kind of want to see how they do it in the future. Because World War One, like I said, is probably the easiest way to like put these like infantry guys in. Cold War, a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen with it, and especially like modern. Whenever you're getting into the javelins and whenever you're getting into the lock-on munitions and everything, I just don't know how that sort of stuff will perform within the game. But so far, just riflemen with rifles and maybe a bazooka or maybe some anti-tank grenades, I think would honestly be pretty cool to see. I mean, especially if the anti-tank grenades just like blow off your track or something, because that would be like the common thing that would happen with these sort of vehicles, and it would be kind of like surprising to you. But yeah, overall, I think this is a huge positive addition to the game, and maybe it could spice up some of the normal games that we see of where people want new game modes, and this kind of gives a new kind of like forced to actually introduce something newer to the game. Maybe you have to protect your infantry. That could be a new game mode, or maybe you have to protect them moving up to a capture point or something like that. I think that would honestly just be a very cool thing to actually explore. So the next thing that they're 100% testing is they're testing out monoplanes whenever it comes to the World War One. Now, the thing I think that is going to happen with this is that they already have a game coming out whenever it comes to World War One, which is going to be Aces of Thunder. You're going to be able to basically play War Thunder, but in VR, and there's not really going to be a grind to it, and there's going to be multiplayer and all kind of stuff. The thing about it is like VR headsets and getting a good PC to play VR is quite a challenge for a lot of people. So in my humble opinion, in my honest opinion, to be honest, I believe this game is going to flop. But it is what it is. It's one of those things that is just going to come. But maybe for War Thunder, whenever that game does come out, they'll probably do another event based upon it, so it's like marketed and everything, kind of like this one was, of where it's just monoplanes and we're able to grind them out, we're able to achieve them and get them, and we'll have them in our hangar just like these tanks were. But I mean, overall, they fly kind of bad. I definitely feel like there's something wrong with the instructor whenever it comes to these planes, because the planes themselves, they kind of just fall out of the air sometimes for like no apparent reason. And 100%, I know 100% that these planes have like the weakest engine possible. But it feels like one of those things of like it just not getting enough lift, or like the instructor is too harsh on it or something, and it just like breaks pretty much all the energy that you have. And well, these things should almost float in the sky sometimes, and sometimes I feel like a brick that is just falling from the air, which in my opinion is a little bit sad. But yeah, maybe they can fix them before it comes to the actual event for them. I mean, like, just saying right now, I'm not confirming there's an event. I'm just saying that it makes a lot of sense whenever Aces of Thunder does get a release date, look around that time for some sort of War Thunder event to promote it, just like they promoted War Thunder Mobile, they've promoted Enlisted. There's been a lot of crossover events within War Thunder for their other games, and maybe we might see something like that in the future. So the next thing to talk about is the map that they created for this Great War mode. Basically, it's a no man's land, and you got to rush through the middle with your tanks and everything. I kind of feel like at some point this map is going to come to the game as a low tier map, maybe like 1.0 to maybe like 2.3 or something like that. Just kind of like as a beginner map, because that's what it kind of feels like, because everything is basically in front of you. There's not really huge like positions that you can get in to actually do anything to counter the enemy. Like, you're both pushing pretty much into a open field, let's just put it like that. And it would be very much like a map that I would see being useful at lower tiers, just because like you do have sniping positions and everything, and that's basically how I play this map to do my event and everything. But if they can get rid of some of these like super powerful positions and people just see each other, it would be a very decent map, I would say, for people who are just starting out with the game, who just want to shoot at an enemy tank and just see kind of what happens. So probably that's what it'll come into. I don't think this map will be a top tier map. There's no way. Nor will it be like mid tiers to like 5-7. It's too short of a map. I mean, like spawn to spawn, I think is like 600 meters, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, it's basically such a small map that I feel like it'd probably be just good for like 1.0 to like 2.3 or something like that. So yeah, the map I'd probably say comes at some point. All right, so now we're down to my like 50% that I think this will actually come into the game and something that they might be testing, which is World War mode. If you don't know what World War mode is, it's basically a mode that Gaijin has abandoned, it feels like, for a very long time, just because it was extremely unbalanced and it really wasn't that fun to play. Now, whenever it comes to World War mode, there can be a lot of cool things that can add to it, specifically infantry. That would be a very interesting mechanic to just see go around the map and actually affect the World War mode battles. Now, also, we could also have a World War mode, which would be pretty interesting to see, but it would be a little bit interesting to kind of do because, well, people like once this event is done, you can't really get these World War One vehicles anymore. So it might be an issue if people don't have these vehicles anymore, but maybe they'll give out some test drives or something whenever it comes to that mode. But yeah, it kind of feels like that. They're setting up some sort of new World War mode that they could possibly doing. There's been a lot of data mines for War mode over the past, like, I'd say like 4 or 5 months. And some of them have been looking a little bit promising. Some of them are just like, eh. And I don't know. I'd really love to see the mode improved. I feel like the biggest problem was balance was one of the huge ones. Then also at the same time, instead of it making it into like a, like, let's just say, like, I'd rather it be PvE almost than what it was. It was a competitive, like, esports type mode where people were trying to win. And well, when people are trying to win, they do the most meta stuff ever. And if you could find like a broken mechanic on the mini map and everything on the RTS element, well, there was times of where people just didn't even need to play the game because the commanders could just win within the first like couple of minutes because they just found a broken mechanic. So yeah, I really hope if they didn't abandon it by now, because we've not had it in a very, very long time, it'd be pretty interesting to just see this sort of stuff being added into a World War mode at some point. And then finally, probably the newest mechanic through this whole entire event, which has been the Zeppelin. Now, the Zeppelin is a vehicle that I don't really think has a purpose to be added into War Thunder, just because anywhere that you put it, even at like 1.0, the thing is going to be just gunned down by an enemy fighter. So I don't know exactly what you do with this machine. Like, they definitely have made it. It seems like it's probably just going to be an Aces of Thunder like the monoplanes are, but I don't know. Maybe they could add it just like a drone. Like, you know how they added the drones whenever it came to top tier because people just didn't have casts and all that sort of stuff. Maybe they can add it into lower tiers to give the ability to bring in some sort of cast if you've not ground out any of the airplanes. But like I've said, it's one of those, like, it's an XP pinata, basically. Like, there's almost nothing that you can do with it. And even the World War One battle ratings, there's people that are using their tank cannons to shoot them down, which quite interesting, I do have to say. But at the exact same time, I mean, it would be pretty cool to just have it. I know there's a lot of people who have wanted the Zeppelin to come in as like an actual grindable for this event. But like I've said, it's pretty much useless. Like, it's not going to be useful for basically anything. But I mean, I guess they could add it in as the drone thing. I mean, it would be more balanced in drones because even the World War One tanks are shooting it down with their tank cannons. So I mean, at least it'll be more balanced than that. But yeah, I just don't see how this comes into the game. Like, I just truly don't. It's kind of useless for what it is. It's incredibly slow. It doesn't really have that insanely good bomb load, and it's not really that precise either. Like, it's kind of interesting to maneuver and control because, like, if let's just say that you miss your bombing run, well, it's going to take you a little bit of time to just turn around. And yeah, it's not going to be the greatest of times. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you like to see the Zeppelin within the game? I'm kind of mixed on it. I feel like it'd be pretty interesting as like a kill streak or something. Maybe they could artificially buff it to where it just can't get one-shotted by a tank cannon or something, so it's a little bit useful and can get to the battlefield first. Or maybe they could do something a little bit interesting with it. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is there anything that you think they are testing currently whenever it comes to the April Fool's event for 2025? I definitely think these are all the things that I personally seen that they might be testing, and we'll see if they come in the future. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next Worth in a video.